there's got to be something happening in the market, right? When the pandemic hit and locked us all home, what it also did was showing some employers that people could actually be remote. Some knew it all along, like us in Docplanner, but even we were caught by surprise, realizing how effective teams could be while working from home. On the other hand, lots of businesses were forced to go online. No, forced to go online and like adding even more fight to an already extremely competitive market, increasing the demand for tech professionals. And lastly, both types of employers learned that now they got to fish in a worldwide pond. The city limits for hiring are no more, and there is still, of course, a matter of time difference between, say, Wisconsin and Wrocław, but there isn't any between Paris and Valencia. And you've got to believe me, there's talent to be found in Valencia, and you've got to be ready to cast a wider net. But how do you deal with that? How do you streamline your recruiting? How do you transform your people experience team department? What have you got to do to improve your candidate experience? So good evening, everyone, and welcome to Docplanner Tech Talk Talent Acquisition Edition. Got a great night in store for you. I see a lot of new names in the attendees lists, and as well as some familiar ones. And I'm not gonna yammer for too long. I want you all to sit back, enjoy the ambience, enjoy the scenery, but most of all, enjoy the talks prepared by my wonderful colleagues and partners in crime, Marta and Jally. So we'll start off with a presentation by Marta Serafin. Marta joined Docplanner 4.5 years ago as a one-woman army. And during her fruitful career here, she has been directly responsible for hiring for every role from front-end developers to customer success and even recruiters themselves. Started a successful people experience team and won the hearts of her colleagues with soulful Spotify playlists. So Marta, hit it.
So thanks for the nice introduction. I'm pretty sure I couldn't do it as good myself. So I'm really glad I deleted that slide from the presentation. I'm going to be starting sharing my screen. So just let me know if you do see it.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's start. As you know, my topic is the why behind switching from being a HRBP to talent acquisition. And this topic is super important because I believe that the more HR gets specialized, the more roles we have. And in companies like ours, we cannot any longer work as one unified team as the HR, but we have to have our specializations. And in a moment of growth in Docplanner, I decided to make that switch, and I want to share with you my story today. So first, I'm going to talk about the why I decided to make that move. I'm going to share some thoughts I have about the differences between recruitment and talent acquisition. I'm going to show you the structure and strategy I built for our tech talent acquisition here in Docplanner. And at the end, I'm going to tell you about the difference or similarity between impact and seniority and try to ask this question, like, is it the same and what should we actually measure in the team? So the story is this. I woke up one day and I understood that I'm done. I'm done with all of the developers and their problems, wanted to have baristas in the office, wanted to have all the benefits, all the things they want, and having problems really, really small to actually what is happening in the world. So I thought, I hate my job. I hate being an HRBP and I'm super tired. I have to change something. And that's not true. Mm-hmm. So the truth is that I always loved being an HRBP. And why I loved it was because I was super close to people and super close to business decisions. But there was a lot of analytical job happening as well. We use Office Vibe as a tool to measure how happy teams are. We're having internal surveys. We're doing healthy checks. So always I was super close to the teams, but making my decisions based on data. The third reason was that it's a really really interesting field in the sense that you work on various projects and various teams, and every day is a challenge because you cannot even imagine what the teams will bring up to the table today. And what is really connected to that point is the impact you're having. You're having every day a huge impact for the managers and the teams. And actually, we have stories where some of the teams treat us as team members because they believe we're really impacting how they feel. And if you want to know more about my thoughts on being an HRBP, please check out the article. We're going to share the presentation, so you will have the link there, but just go directly to the Planner Tech Medium and you can find it there. So the question, coming back to the title of my presentation, would be, why did I decide to make the switch at the end? And to answer that question, I want to show you some numbers. When it comes to the mission of Docplanner, our mission is to make the healthcare experience more human, and we're a product company. Right now, we are over 1,800 people globally in a couple of countries. But when it comes to the Planner Tech, so the part which I have been supporting from my very first day, it's around 250 people in IT, in product, but also in business intelligence. And when it comes to our culture, it's based, like, this is my definition, of course, on 3 things. So passion, feedback, and autonomy. And it's driven by super ambitious people. So the moment we are in right now is hyper growth. We need to double in a year the whole team. And with the previous structure we had in the HR team was having one team responsible for everything, from employer branding, talent acquisition, through onboarding, until working on happiness and even making the exit interviews. And that was not possible to double the whole tech team, like still being one unified team taking care of the whole journey. So the challenge was to build a world-class talent acquisition team and keep the amazing hiring quality that we have. We're really measuring everything we do, and the candidate experience score with over 600 surveys is still above 8.7 out of 10. We had always had a really high hiring managers satisfaction. Just now, what we have to put on top of that is the high pace. So to understand why I did my decision, I want to look into the difference between recruitment and talent acquisition, because for many people it's the same, but I really believe there is a really big difference here. So the hiring is simply finding people to a company, and that's the end. When you're done with that, you hired people, and that's the end of your job. But how I see talent acquisition partnership is actually divided into 3 parts. You're a partner for the business because you support the hiring managers. You make sure that the company can grow with the people who join. You're a partner for the candidates because when you have a super stubborn hiring manager, you fight for them and you make sure that you come back with your feedback and you take care of them. And then you're a partner for your team, the talent acquisition team, but also for the business partners to be sure that the whole journey of people is really, really smooth. So one thing I want to mention here is I've been, as Sergey mentioned, been hiring many recruiters to my team and looking for many people. And one of the most popular things I hear on the interviews is, you know what, I don't want to be a recruiter. It's not strategical. I want to switch to being an HRBP because I believe that recruitment is for juniors. Well, maybe I'm a junior my whole life and I don't see it, but I really do believe that talent acquisition builds a super strong competitive advantage at Docplanner. And the first reason is what I said before. There's no business without people. So if you want to grow the business, you have to hire not only people fast, but the right people for the right jobs. And this brings revenue. The second thing, and this is actually a thing one of my team members, Emily, mentioned, we're the Gandalfs of the company. So we protect the culture with the high pace, but also making sure that the people we hire are the ones who support our culture and make the company grow in a good way. And here I would like to say, and this is my experience, that sometimes when you're a recruiter, you rush with your hirings, but having even one bad recruitment can really influence the team motivation. So it's not only about the revenue, but it's about the happiness as well. And then the last thing, which really rarely recruiters think of, is that you're the face of the company. And every time you're having an interview, the person who is sitting there might have really strong connections with the product itself. So when they're going to use the product, they're probably going to remember the interview you had because there's a strict connection. So again, this is about the revenue, but this time from the product side. And it's super important for me to share that with my team as well. So what happened mid this year? I was just before making the decision if I want to continue working as an HR business partner, or I want to take on the challenge of building a talent acquisition team. And it was a super hard decision. I loved my job, as I mentioned before, but also this challenge of building something was super interesting for me. And I knew that if I'm not going to take that challenge on, it's going to be someone from outside the company joining us as a talent acquisition manager. So why did I decide to take the challenge? First of all, I know that this is crucial for the business. And I know that me and my team, we're building something really big. And our goal is to double the tech team, but not with anyone, with the people who fit and the people who are going to be happy and the people who are going to stay with us for long. And that's actually really, really crucial when you think about the business. The second thing was that since I've been for many years in the company, I saw many teams overwhelmed and I wanted to help them out. And I knew that the only way I can help them out is with speeding up the processes and making sure that we can hire faster than we did in the past. The third thing is that I believe that when you're an HR person, you have your fields of expertise, and talent acquisition was always my strength. I actually love meeting new people and trying to get to know what motivates them and what do they actually enjoy and what makes them happy. So this is something I always had, and I feel that this is a strong part of my experience. And this is connected to this that I'm really interested in people who sit next to me, and I know what I can ask them to open up, even if they're super close and don't feel really open at a standard interview. And one thing I also mentioned is that I'm super excited about new things. So new roles, new people, new situations, new hiring managers. Talent acquisition is a job that is never stable because every day you start your work and you have no idea who you're going to meet. And it might be a terrible day because people won't show up on the interviews, but also it might be an awesome day because you're going to meet someone who's going to become your friends for many, many years. So this is super inspiring for me. Another thing is that I knew that I'm going to continue working as a manager, and working as a manager is super important for me. I believe that leading a team is difficult because often you don't see the output of your work, but when you see your team growing and when you see them happy, you feel like you did something. And of course, it's not only your work and it's not only what you did, but guiding them on their path and seeing them happy every day actually is super important for me. And I'm really happy that I have a team, which I have, because I'm super proud of them. And building something from scratch was also super interesting. Of course, when I joined the company, it was a startup. So we built something from scratch back there. But right now in the talent acquisition, I feel like we're building our own startup within the company. We're building something that was never here before. And we're trying, iterating and making A/B tests. And another thing is, I knew already, because I have been some years in the company, that this the way we work in Docplanner with hiring managers is not the same as that I see in many companies. We have super engaged people, and they're really open to learn from us, and they treat us as partners. So we're never just admin people who go to the interview and make notes. We're actually partners in the decision. And many times I have blocked myself candidates, which the hiring managers really believed in, but I had strong arguments and they trust me. And the last thing, if you have been on some other meetups I've been a speaker on, I always mention the same. I really want to fight the stereotype of recruiters being the people who don't call you back, and they create a stressful environment on the interview, because I believe it's not fair. And I know that there are many people in the market who put their best to make the interviews as less stressful as they can. And I really want to show that you can work that way. And I want to show my team and I want to show the candidates that this is how we work here in Docplanner. So looking at how we actually work at Docplanner, our culture is strongly based on results and feedback from others. And if you want to perform and if you want to be happy in the company, those are the two things that are super important for you to achieve your goals. And the way we work on goals is really similar to OKRs. We are working on OITs, which basically are objective tasks and indicators, and measure our output. And everyone in the team and the talent acquisition team have their own OIT, and I work on a team OIT just to be sure that we're all aligned. And this helps you to prioritize not only the processes you're doing, but the additional projects, for example, with the 20% of your time. And the last thing that is cool about working on OITs and why I implemented them into the talent acquisition team as well, is that it helps you to focus on your priorities. And you know what is important both for the business, but also for the team. So when you look at our structure, this is also something new. We're divided into two parts. So there's the product talent acquisition team, which takes care of all the product management roles like product managers, product owners, project managers. And there's going to be a person dedicated for design and research. On top of that, we're searching for a sourcer, for a talent sourcing partner who's going to take care of the whole field of product and only search for roles for this position. But what is important, we don't treat sourcers as a junior talent acquisition partner. This is a really different role and the goal is different. So this role is really analytical and really working on building networks to make sure we attract actively people who probably wouldn't apply. And the same goes for the tech part. So we have one person right now, which is Jally, our second speaker today, taking care of the backend processes, and she's going to share some awesome tactics here today with you. But we also have Anto, who is taking care of the front end, or Berenika, which is supporting the rest of the tech processes. And again, we have the tech sourcer who is supporting the team in tech. My wingman and partner is Crime Azola, who is basically coordinating all of our crazy projects, our ideas, our tools, and everything we need to create an environment where all of us can work and be sure that we're making the right decisions. So you could ask, why did we build this structure based on expertise? First of all, as I mentioned, we're talent acquisition partners, and that shows that we want to be partners for our hiring managers. But you cannot be a partner if you switch your processes every quarter, because you don't have the time to build the network with candidates, but you also don't have the time to create a partnership with your hiring managers. And in that sense, you can have super strong focus on the teams. Some of the team members join dailies, retros, plannings, just to get to know better the teams they're hiring for, to really know not only the profile from the technical part, but also to understand the needs of a particular team. And from my experience, I've been a recruiter in an agency before. This is a huge difference when you work in a product company, that you're close to the teams. You're not just some outsourced person hiring for a team you never saw. You're working super close to them. And again, they treat you as a team member. And in general, I would say that this structure is much better for tech processes, because when you start working on a new role, you won't probably hire a person in 3 or 4 weeks. And I'm pretty sure you know about that. But you need more time. So the first time is actually to kick off the process, and then you're building the network. So when we look at the data in our team, most of the hirings are starting from the middle of the quarter, and they're growing from that point. And what is important is that every talent acquisition partner is attached to one area, like I mentioned, like Emily to product management, as well as Arena, or someone new will be working on the design and research recruitment processes, but you can change that. And that's the important thing, that my goal at the end is to have people who have knowledge about the whole product and about the whole structure, not only about one part. But if you're super passionate about one process and you really want to stick with it, that's cool as well. I believe that this way we can have a faster pace of hirings. And at the end, which is super important for me personally, since the team is really growing, this structure is super easy to scale. So if at some point we decide to hire more people, we're going to create team leaders within the structure, and they're going to be supporting the whole area. And how it works on a day-to-day, actually Jally will be touching this topic a little bit, is that you're working in functional teams. So the talent acquisition partner is actually working with the hiring managers every week or every second week to have meetings to know what is happening in the process. And again, to be partners, not just executors of some strategy or Christmas wish list on the hirings. So the last thing I want to discuss today, as it's personally really important for me, is the difference between impact and seniority. And I would love to say that this all came from me and then I'm actually the one who's created it, but that would be a lie. Because the team who created this thing is our tech team. And I only took it, I only stole it actually, and made a version for us. But this is super important that in Docplanner, since I mentioned that our mission is making the healthcare experience more human, we have an impact as a company, but looking in the micro world, we also have an impact on the whole company as each person and also as a team. So measuring seniority makes no sense. We couldn't give less attention to the years of experience of people who join us. And we really don't care if you have been studying on the best university or you didn't graduate in anything. What we do care about is the impact of every person. And how it works in our talent acquisition team is that we have 3 levels of impact. As you might remember, the structure is divided into first area and then into teams. So the area would be product, and then product management would be the team. So if you're in the first team impact group, you're just having impact of the hirings you're making. So in this case, as you see, I put the description of one of the impact groups, the entry one. You're having limited impact and you have almost no experience. So you're just starting to kick off with working with the team, and you can work on processes, but the defined ones, and you're not challenging them that much. But then when you move into the next impact groups, your impact in the company gets bigger and bigger. And what is super important, and what I was saying at the beginning, is that the culture of Docplanner is built on autonomy. So our impact on the whole company is really, really big on various fields and different matters, but you can have a really big impact. So with the growth of your impact, I believe that this is the moment you can take on more challenges. You can start to build your career, not only in the company, but after in different places. And that really you feel that what you're doing not only changes the team or the whole area, but it actually changes our whole talent acquisition team. And you're challenging everything we're doing on a daily basis because you want to build a team that has best practices when it comes to talent acquisition. So a question that I was asking myself when I was creating this presentation for you is, will I be a talent acquisition partner my whole life, or will I switch back to being an HRBP? And the answer for me is that I still am an HRBP, but I'm an HRBP in the field of team growth. And every day I'm working with the hiring managers to not only take the overload of work from their team members, but also to be sure that the culture we're building is protected, and that actually new people with new ideas are joining and challenging how we work every day. And the only thing I think is if I were to ask you to remember one thing from this presentation, it would be this: that if you believe that talent acquisition is not strategical and you want to drop working as a talent acquisition person to being an HRBP only because of this reason, I want you to know that it can be strategical, but only if you work in a company that cares about your impact and that treats you as a partner. And that being said, if you want to work in a team that really wants to create the best practices, and at the end, if you want to change or help us to change the global healthcare sector, let me know. I'm hiring to my team. You see the awesome team members here on the screen. We're waiting for you. And I'm super happy to have a chat, even if you're not thinking about changing your team, sharing experience, or just getting to know each other would be awesome. So drop me a line and let's connect. And I guess that's all from me, but maybe you have any questions. I see we have a nice group of people, so maybe something came to your mind you would like to ask, or any comments, feedbacks, super open for it.
Yeah. Folks, you can raise your hands, or you can use the Q&A section to ask your questions there, or chat, whatever. But that was great, Marta. We're lucky to have you here. Those ideas have got to take our talent acquisition party bus right to the top, eh? Right. I don't see any questions so far. So if you will have them later, we're waiting for them in the next section, in the QA section. And we can move to the next topic of the night. Next up is a presentation by Jally Raekelboom. Jally joined Docplanner just 2 months ago, maybe less than 2 months ago, but didn't waste any time and brought along a welcome disruption. Seeing the challenge that scaling of the company poses, she used her 3D animation skills to look at the problem from a different perspective, pivot the objectives. And I also want to mention metrics, but I don't want to do any more spoilers. So Jally, please tell us more.
Thank you for that introduction and for saying that my 3D animation skills. So yeah, today I'm going to be speaking about the strategy of hiring one profile for different product teams. I'll just share my screen. 1 second. Is that okay? There we go. Perfect. So as Sergey said, I joined Docplanner, I think about 1.5 months ago, roughly, and I went straight away into developing a strategy for hiring PHP developers and .NET developers. So I'm going to focus on the PHP developers, so the same profile, because 8 different product teams were looking for the same profile, but different versions of it. So it was really trying to find out how to make the smoothest process so that we use the least amount of time for everyone. So yeah, we are going to go through like who it is, the person that we're looking for. Sorry, just recovering from being ill. So who are we looking for? So what kind of person you're looking for in your company, and this is a really important topic. And then also we're going to discuss what the team needs, how to plan and organize your recruitment plan, and then I'll leave some time for questions as well. So the main question is what kind of person are you looking for? So it's about creating your candidate profile. So at Docplanner, we have company values, and they're really important to us. So like for example, someone that's happy to leave their comfort zone, someone that's really passionate, someone that's happy to like really good at communicating, or like at least able to give feedback to their team members. That's really important to us. And as Marta mentioned before, like we are partners for the business, partners for the product teams, but also we are partners for the candidates. So we want to make sure that we find the right place for them as well. So how do we define this persona? So what we did is, the teams got together, they discussed what they thought would make the ideal candidate or the perfect person to join the company. So we took that into account. The PX team also got together to define what they thought were the most important traits. We did some workshops, we had some mirror boards, just to make sure that we have a lot of people's input so that we can set this and then just forget about it. So this is what we came up with these are the most important traits for what we are looking for at Docplanner. So passion, honesty, team player, intelligence, entrepreneurship, ambition, problem solving, and someone that's really autonomous. Obviously, we can't look for all these things in the space of like a 1 hour interview. So I pick for me which are the ones I'm looking for when I interview, and which are the ones that are most important to me. So for me, it's passion, honesty, team player, and problem solving, which is something that I really look for. So people that if a candidate can do all of those four, then I'm very, very happy with it. So when I interview a candidate, I normally have a couple of questions that I can ask for problem solving skills. And this really depends on which candidate you're talking to and what they've done, or you kind of have to look at their CV first. But these are a couple of questions about problem solving. So having the candidate tell you about something they had to solve recently is a really good way to start, because normally they'll go on like a previous or a recent project. Or finding out if they had an impact on the business is also really good, because that is a problem that they've solved. So it's finding out, making sure that they've done something in their current company to have an impact on their current business. Or finding out if they've been able to overcome a personal weakness, because not only does that show that they can solve problems, but it also shows that they are quite in tune with themselves, so they know which areas they have to work on and which areas not, which is always a great quality to have for anyone. Passion is, for me, like one of the most important things to find in a candidate. It's really to find why they do what they do. So a good way is to ask what they're the most passionate about when it comes to PHP, in the case of a PHP developer, or software development, or product, or whatever you're recruiting for. And another way is, for asking why they got into software development, to see like where they started and where they are now, because it will show how they have evolved, and that's also shows how passionate they are, or what their proudest achievement was in their career. And I think from that question you can also find out a little bit more about the candidate and maybe like a nice story behind it. So one trait that I also look for is honesty, mainly because I want to make sure that there's no disconnection between the candidate and the team. We want to make sure that people are able to communicate, even if they struggle with the English as a language. We want to make sure that they are able to say what they think, because otherwise we all know that problems happen if people don't say what they think. So a good question to ask is, what would you do if you disagreed with one of the colleagues in your team, for example, because this is a good way to see how they would handle the situation, and also how they would work within a team. Telling me about their biggest fuck up is also very good, because then you can see that they're honest, they're growing, and they've learned from their mistakes. And also a good one is, have you ever been in a situation where something bad happened, or you broke something because of your actions? So what did you do? And this is also good to see, like maybe problem solving skills as well. So it would be 2 birds, 1 stone. So these are some of the questions that I would ask for some of the traits that I really want to see in a candidate. But there was also red flags that you have to watch out for. So if someone is very much lacking passion, like wants to join a company because they don't have any motivation behind it, they just are not happy with the project that they're doing, or they want to work just remotely, something like that. Or when they bad talk like previous employees or companies, that's also good. Like, I understand if you've had a bad experience, but if it's, some people can really spend the 30 minutes talking about like someone in their company that they didn't like, and that's also a red flag for me. Or there's a couple of other red flags that you should really watch out for. It's only, there's sometimes it's acceptable, and if they have a good story behind it, it's okay. But you'll see it, you'll feel it when it's not right. So once you've decided what kind of person you need, and what questions to ask, and what to find the person that you're looking for, now you need to know what the team needs. So you need to know exactly what kind of developer they need. So in my case, it would be PHP developers. Yes, they all need PHP developers, but what exactly do they need? Because every team is so different. At Docplanner, they've got, they're all autonomous and they work together on different projects. So there's going to be different needs. So it's understanding the team's environment and what questions to write. So the first thing you would do is, so you would try to understand the team. So what I've done is, getting to know the managers of each team, and learning about the team itself, what they do, where they want to go, what are the challenges, and then, speak to all the team members. And you can also join their activities, so their dailies, or, whenever they have a big meetup or whenever they show a product demo, you can go and attend it as well. So you have a really good understanding of what's going to happen. So these are some questions that I've prepared that we can ask, that I've asked the teams that I've been working with. So for example, like, what are the main responsibilities and challenges? So you know what they're going to be working on in the future. It's also like easier to sell for candidates. If they ask, oh, what will I be working on? You will know what they'll be working on. Or what's the team working on at the moment? Do you need any specific frameworks? What is the current team structure and number? It's to see how, because a lot of people don't like to work in like really, really big teams. So if you have like one team with 20 backend developers, it's not something that a lot of software developers want to join. So this is a really important thing to know. And then some technical skills that they absolutely need and why they need it, and then how much experience they need for the candidate to have. And then as well, the interview process, which is super important to know, because it depends on it. Each team might have a different interview process. We try and keep it the same, but it's always a little bit different. So yeah, this is one of the examples of what one of the teams needs. So they were looking for someone that's got media to senior technical abilities, so not really looking for a junior. They want someone that understood the business language and that would be able to, merge the bridge between, technical and business. Someone that likes to do analytics and research, not someone that's like an analytical engineer, but someone that kind of enjoys analytics and research. And they were not bothered about infrastructure or architecture, because they would be able to find someone, a place for them, and someone that really enjoys helping teams out, because development quality is there to help, is a support team. So it's helping other developers get better. So this is what I created, and this is part of my strategy. So in each team that I've created, I've written down what I thought were the most important points of what they were saying and what they needed. And when you start making a table like this, you actually start realizing that a couple of teams are looking for some similar things. So for example, 3 of them were looking for Symfony, and they were not as flexible to have other frameworks. Some teams were needed business language or business understanding. A couple of teams needed some sort of knowledge from of domain-driven design. So I kind of grouped them together and made like a sheet, a bingo sheet. And this is like, for example, when you're speaking to a candidate, what I would do is use that bingo sheet idea. So if someone says they're like, I see that they're quite senior, that they've only worked with Symfony, that they kind of love many contexts and love learning about different things, and they are quite good with the business language, and that's something that they really understand, and they like analytics and research, infrastructure, and helping other teams out, then I would know, bingo, it's for the development quality team. So I kind of use this sheet for everything that every candidate that I see, to make sure that I can place them in the right teams, so that we don't waste much time. So how do I organize the recruitment plan? Because there's a lot of hires that we need to be doing, and it's hard to keep track of which candidate has gone to who, to where, which stage are they at? Because as you know, as Marta explained before, like, we don't want the candidate experience to go down. So we really value giving feedback to each candidate. And sometimes whilst waiting for some feedback, it's hard to forget to I mean, it's easy to forget to give feedback to the candidate. So to make sure that that doesn't happen to me, I keep track of candidates by, well, I'll show you later. So this is how I keep track of the roles that are open and where we are at. It's just a short, quick description of what I still need to work on. And then every time, you know, a role closes, I'll edit that. And then for the candidates, what I do is I have I add a pink I mean label, or I don't know, box for everything that I have done, so it moves forward. And every time, you know, a candidate is no'd, or, you know, they have taken another offer, I will change I mean, I will change the whole thing, so that when someone's hired, I will change it. When someone's not hired, so when someone's taken another offer, I will change it as well, so that I know where I am for every candidate, so I don't forget. And that's really important to me because I'm really forgetful. So it's the only way that this would work. Otherwise, it wouldn't. So these are a couple of little things that I've learned, you know, along the way. Because it's been quite an intense amount, you know, an intense month and a half. I've interviewed, like, I don't know how many people, like 10 to 12 people a week. And I've hired a couple of people. So I've been really happy with the recruitment process, but every human is different. And, you know, we don't want to put people, oh wait, someone's raised their hand.
Jally, we're gonna let them ask their questions at the end of the presentation. So
okay, no worries. All right, now I'll just finish that then. So yeah, for something I've really learned is that every person is different, and it's easy to have this picture perfect idea of what you want as for the candidates. So you want them to be this, and this, and, you know, so you should never put, you know, the what you want in a box. You know, you should never put candidates in a box. So make sure that you are flexible on, you know, what kind of person you're looking for. And it goes into the diversity point that I'm talking about. Like, some people are going to be completely different. Some people will need, you know, more time. Some people will need better feedback. Some people will need you to speak slower. Like, every person is super different, and not everyone is quick on their feet. Some people are very shy, for example. So you have to make sure that you adapt, and that you don't think that you want, you know, don't think that you want this one person and then let all the others go. You have to be really flexible. And that's one thing that I've learned along the way that I think is really important. So yeah, I think that was it. Any questions?
Before we jump to the questions, fantastic presentation. Thanks very much for it, Jally. There's a patent pending for the acquisition bingo game, so no fun there. Yeah, and now let's move to the questions. We have two of them in the Q&A section. The first one is from an anonymous attendee. Jally, what is the victim mindset and how to spot it on a recruitment meeting?
I think a victim mindset is, for me, or something that I look for, or not, well, I hope that I don't get it, but it's when someone is really, so they victimize themselves. So they're always talking about, like, how everything happened to them. They tried everything, but nothing worked. And then you can actually find out, if you dig deeper, that they didn't try anything, but they are very quick to blame, like the staff, the surroundings, the company. Yes, it's obviously, like, it's completely possible and normal, and in fact it happens a lot, that someone's had a bad time, you know, at their company, but it's about, like, how you solve something. So what ways you go about it, and why you're wanting to move as well. So for me, that's a victim mindset. So it's the way to spot is really, if they spend 30 minutes talking about how much they, you know, their whole company fucked them over and they tried everything and nothing worked, and they're so miserable because of it, then, you know, you need to dig deeper, because it could not be not victim mindset, but you need to dig deeper. You need to really ask more questions about that.
Okay, and the next question from Shimon. Do you keep a double record of the candidates' track progress in ATS and Sheets?
Oh, yeah, definitely. That this is where the main where the main the progress is tracked. So that's when I can see that, you know, where they're at the interview stages, the next stages, the trial day stages, but there's no tracking of if I've replied. So it's really personal for me. It's no tracking if I've given them feedback or if I've invited them to the next stage. And that's why I keep that extra sheet for me to look at, to make sure that I've given them the feedback, I've invited them to the trial day, which is something I can look at, but it's just a little bit easier for me because I've got too many jobs open and too many different candidates to look at.
Yeah, I think there's a related question to this. Do you use any tool to track each candidate during the recruitment process? I think it's Workable that we mostly use.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, we use Workable to track each candidate. So we make sure that they're on the system, and then we move them every time they've gone through the next stage. And then, you know, we make sure we invite them to things.
Mm-hmm. Good. And another question from anonymous attendee, Jally. You have been working at Docplanner for 2 months. What can you tell us is the best thing about working here? That's a loaded question.
It's a loaded question, but I'm happily answer it. For me, my best thing about working there is, first of all, the team. The team I'm in is incredible. They're really supportive. They're really they're really lovely. You just feel I just feel at home within the team. And also everyone else in Docplanner, you'll never meet such a nice group of people, and like the passionate people as well. It's so nice to see how passionate everyone is. So that's for me the best thing about working there, but also working as a TAP, it's meeting lots of new people, and you know, being able to give them the chance to join this amazing company is also really great.
Great, very much. I see another question in the chat from Juan Pablo. He says, I normally see this very long job descriptions with a very long stack of technologies that are required to apply. Almost always I do not know all of them. So do I not apply? How would you react if you are really interested in the company?
I would always say apply, because as I said to us, I mean, for me and the company, it's the passion is one of the main things that we look for, and like ambition, entrepreneurship. And if we can't expect everyone to know everything. This is the perfect candidate for us that we post, but you know, no one's perfect. So if you don't have everything, absolutely apply and explain why you think you could still do it, because that will show like a lot of motivation, and it will also show that you are interested in the company.
Perfect.
Hope that answers your question.
Yeah, if not, feel free to ask me. Great, yes. We have another raised hand from
Gaba Gaba.
Gaba Gaba. So Gaba Gaba, feel free to unmute yourself, or I can help you with this. No, I think you have to unmute yourself. There's a, yeah.
Sorry, it was a mistake. I'm with a mobile phone.
Ah, okay.
You hear me?
Yeah, we do hear you. So, all right, thanks. Okay, well,
I think there's 2 more questions in the Q&A.
Mm-hmm. There's another one from Shimon. By the way, great structure of tracking with your sheets. It could help a lot of people if you would share it as a template at some point. You're thinking of doing this, Jally? Yeah,
happy to share it. I'll just have to delete all the candidate names and people's names and hiring managers' names, and then I'll just tweak it, and I'll happily share it. No problem.
Perfect. And we have questions for Marta. So Marta, please show us yourself. Yeah, there you are.
Good, I didn't went home.
Yes. All right, so the first one, did you get any feedback from hiring managers regarding those weekly updates?
I didn't, and I hope I won't, in the sense that one of our values is give feedback now directly. So I wish that the hiring managers would give the feedback directly to the tabs that are working with them. I know that some of them prefer to meet bi-weekly, and that's super fine as well. The weekly meetings was just an idea that I shared in the presentation, but sometimes even once per every 3 weeks is okay. I believe that these meetings can be weekly and be 15 minutes, just a short update what's happening, especially that many hiring managers don't share their feedback pretty often. So we have to, make sure that we have the space not to take much of their time. So of course, we're considering the feedback, but then again, every hiring manager is different. And for some of them, having a weekly coffee is okay, and some prefer not. We're not really attached to this, and we're iterating. This is a new structure, so we are iterating the ideas and seeing how it works. But for sure, I believe that there should be a space to meet and to discuss the updates of the hiring process.
All right, great. Another one for you, Marta. Anonymous attendee says, I saw the news of acquisition of Yamada from Germany yesterday. Congratulations. Well, thank you, Anonymous. What does this mean for the future of your team?
That's a really tricky question. I'm pretty sure some of my team asked that. But to be honest, this is like great news, but also new news for all of us. And we don't know exactly what will happen exactly like in the next 12 months. But what we know for sure is that our team has a really big plan to hire only inside of the teams we're looking for right now. I've just worked with the hiring managers on creating a budget for next year. And as I mentioned, we're doubling the team. So there might be a point that we will integrate or we will share experience with the new team in Germany, but that's not on the roadmap for the team right now. We're super open for exchanging experience, and I hope we're gonna meet each other soon. But for now, that doesn't change a lot in our team, since the company will stay in the same structure they are right now, and they have their own teams. We only are the Planner family, and that's gonna be for now. What will happen in the future? I'm super curious myself, so let's see.
All right, thanks. Another question from an anonymous. How did you like the recruitment process in Docplanner? Any recommendations?
Whoa, how the like my own process? It was so many years ago. I don't even remember how it looked like. But no, my process was really different from what we're doing right now. Back then, it was a startup way of recruiting. And we basically the steps were created on the way. Some of the interviews took 2 hours, and I remember I was pretty sure I won't get the job after the last one, but seems they were super desperate, so they hired me. But it was, what it did for sure is that what didn't change during the years was that at the end of the process, I was pretty sure this is the place I want to be. And meeting all of the people was always a key value in the process, and it still is. So the people I met for like 5 years ago in my interviews inspired me and really made me to work to be here in the company. Since then, even our tab process really changed. Right now, we have really defined stages to hire people to our team. But again, what is common is that you still meet many new people. And for me, this is what the process, like a hiring process for every role, should look like. Not only meeting one hiring manager and one or actually only the manager in your team, because they might have just chosen the nicest person, but actually not getting to know either the team or doing some business cases just to show how you think and if you're aligned with the company. And I believe that this well-defined recruitment process helped us to have a really good rotation when it comes to the team, because people know what they're expecting, and that never changed. So I'm not held here as a prisoner. I'm here because I choose every day to stay here, and that didn't change like for 5 years now. I hope I answered those questions. I'm not so sure, but if I didn't, please like ask another one and I will do my best. But also Jally, maybe something from you.
Yeah, for me the recruitment process was really quick. Actually, I think we crammed everything in the space of a week. It was really interesting. Actually, it was the most thorough recruitment process that I had ever done, because normally I just get called up by an internal recruiter and get switched, changed, picked, and then moved into another team after a call or two. But I thought it was really good because it gave me an idea of really what the work is going to be like. So they gave me a business case that I had to work on. You know, I had to interview one of the developers as if they were one of the people from Docplanner as if they were not there, and then ask them questions. So it was really interesting. And it was also like a good icebreaker within, you know, to meet more people, meet more of the talent acquisition team, and also meet some developers. So I really enjoyed. Any recommendations? I think make sure that you have some great questions to ask a software developer, and also for the business case, I would say make sure you know how to read data. Because there's a lot of it.
And probably on top of that, be yourself, because we have a bullshit detector, and we really hate dishonest people. So be yourself in your beautiful whole, you know, persona, and that's what's going to help you. But because of course we know people get stressed, and we take that into consideration, but we try in the process for you to be yourself, and that's what we are looking for in exchange.
All right, thanks a lot. Next question, how do you manage with difficult feedback? I guess the difficult feedback to the candidates.
Well, I would say that this question has a couple of parts. So the first part is the feedback we share to candidates. And of course, there are situations where we feel that we're not going to hire someone, but we want to be sure that the feedback is constructive. So what we often do is just do a quick brainstorm in the team, explaining the situation we have, the candidate, and asking the team to review the feedback. Because what is really important is that every person has a different way of perceiving the feedback they get. So sharing with a couple of other recruiters the feedback you want to share with the candidate is the best idea, to be sure that the chance of the person being hurt by the feedback instead of being inspired is really low. And this is something we do on a daily basis, or just jump with another tap on a coffee and see how they feel. And this is also about how you share the feedback. You should always make the feedback about the call, about the interview, not about the person. And this is something we really stick to the team, to never evaluate people or never describe them, just share what are our thoughts looking at the meeting, right? But when it comes to the feedback and what comes back from it, of course, there have been weird stories. I've been called a fat pig after, like, from one of the candidates I shared bad feedback.
You're not wrong.
Yeah, probably a recruiter. But no, but the truth is that it happens. And what is the most important thing and how I deal with it is actually think about it as a success. I didn't let the person into the company. And I did my best to actually get to know the person, and how he or she takes the feedback, that's not longer with me. I can do my best to share an honest one, but how they're going to do with it, deal with it, that's on them. But the second part of the question is how do I deal with feedback that is hard, like coming from me as a recruiter? And of course it happens. Sometimes we get the messages that the feedback was ungrounded, or it's unfair, or even more explicit words about ourselves. But this is where the team steps in. And when we get such a feedback, we can share it with the rest of the team and really think about one simple question. Is the feedback helping you as a tap? And if it is helping, because the person mentioned something important, try to implement it. Try to find ways never to get that feedback again. But if it's ungrounded and it's, again, only about you as a person, then of course you're going to get sad about it, you're going to get mad about it, but you will be proud that you saw that this person is not a fit. And in our case of Docplanner, for sure that person wouldn't be a fit. I hope I answered the question. I don't know, Jally, if you would add anything to how you deal with difficult feedback.
No, I think you just have to deal with it heads on. It's hard because you push it. It's really easy to push that kind of stuff away into like, maybe I'll do it later or later or later.
Yeah.
But it's actually much better to just get it over and done with, because it and always try and be like nice about it, because in the end we want to make sure that people can work on work on themselves and work on things that they need to improve, and not just be mean. So that's really important as well.
A good tip, just more from the, let's say, tool part, is that every Friday I have a blocked space in my calendar to share feedback. So for all the people from that week, I share the feedback on Friday. And my rule here is that if I don't have the feedback, I let the candidate know that I'm going to come back to them next Friday. And this is something that's going to help you not to have the feedback on the back of your head, but really to go into the weekend with a clear mind, and then come back Monday to work and find out you're a fat pig. But that's a good thing to do. I really recommend that.
All right. Thanks very much for the comments. We have a couple more questions from Shimon. The first one is addressed to Marta. What is the most crucial thing to solve for you and your team in the coming 2022?
Well, word peace for sure. I think that the biggest thing for us and for me personally is to keep, again, the quality of the hirings we have had in the last years. Just to show some data, we actually hired around 115 people only this year, and around 18 left the company. So we're 250 people. And really a small group of that people are leaving, and actually some of them are coming back. So I would say that keeping this super high quality in a super competitive market with speeding up the processes, this is going to be, and it is continuously, a big challenge for us. So we know how the market looks in tech with the, as Sergey mentioned at the beginning, with the remote work, more and more companies are approaching people, both our potential candidates, but of course also our people within the team, and making sure that we have the right people in the right time. It's going to be a really important thing for us. And I would say that this challenge doesn't change. Despite the fact that, looking at my story, Docplanner, the only constant thing that is happening in hirings is change. So we have to really adapt fast to the changing needs of the product. And sometimes a new product or a new startup team has to be built in the company. And if I were to say we have to wait for the next quarter, sorry, we're not actually helping out the business. So on one hand, really building up the speed and making sure we hire all the people that are needed, but on the other, being super flexible and open on the changes on the way. And this is something I'm looking for in talent acquisition partners, flexibility and being open for changes that might appear in the way. I hope, Shimon, that answered your question.
Yeah, you kind of also started answering the second question from Shimon. Because the question was, how do you see remote hiring of tech talent across the world? How Docplanner is adapting to this requirement?
Well, we're good. No, I would say that we're still learning in this sense, and what we're doing is we're iterating and checking out new solutions, but we're not making any moves fast. So right now we have started the first step was for us to start hiring in whole Poland and Spain. And slowly we're opening the possibility to hire through in new markets. But for sure, the time zone right now is super important for us. We do not imagine, with the state of development in the sense of remote work, is at that stage that we still cannot rush, and we need some time to adapt to that. So of course the world is super open for tech people, and they're hiring remotely, but we're taking it step by step. And we're seeing, because right now with the countries we're working, with. Already the market is really big and we have really big pipelines of candidates. So we don't want to rush into any solutions unless we need them. But of course, we're super open for diversified pool of candidates, and we're actually making many moves of people and relocation to Barcelona. Suddenly not to Warsaw, but I guess I know why. So it's really interesting to see that change. And for me, being so long in a company and having to look for people in one city for a while, this is a great opportunity, but it's also a really big challenge to make it smart and not to create chaos. And at the end, to people that are onboarded, to have it done in a smooth way, and to be sure they're feeling a part of the team. So this is where we are right now. And I believe it's going to slowly change, but we have a really office-based culture here in Docplanner, and actually, meeting some of the team members even twice a year is something we really enjoy. So I believe that in the couple next months we're not going to be a fully remote company, but well, Docplanner has surprised me many times. So let's see.
All right. I guess the next question from anonymous attendee is more for Jally. Are you going to adapt your ideas for non-technical positions?
It's definitely possible. I've just been here for a month and a half, so once I get non-technical positions, I guess I'll tackle it then. As long as you use the same kind of structure, then I don't see why not. Just use the bingo sheet.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all.
And I guess the last question of the day that I see, what is one most important skill you seek in talent acquisition partners candidates?
That's a really good one. And I would say that looking for
good
one.
Jokes.
Yeah, good jokes. Passion for goats also. But no, the one thing I'm looking for is for sure true interest in people. And this is something I lack the most in candidates that apply, because if you treat your job as going to interviews and only asking questions from a box and ticking every time they actually fill out those boxes, or you're super bored with interviews and you just use it as a jump start to any other job, for sure you're not gonna find a place and not be happy in our team. Because what we're really looking for is to create an amazing product, but an amazing product can only be created by awesome people. So if you want to find those awesome people, as Jally mentioned, you have to be open-minded. You have to look for different things and adapt your process depending to the person. But that's not possible if you're not truly interested in the person on the other side. So that's one thing if I were to choose. But then, of course, there is a whole other list. But maybe that's a topic for a different presentation.
All right. Thanks very much. I don't see any more questions. So let's give them our attendees a count of 5 to see if there are more, or raise hands. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All right. All right. Well, thanks very much, Marta. Thanks very much, Jally, for answering the questions and for your presentation. And well, folks, I guess our evening is coming to an end. And if I learned anything at all today, is that you've got to be agile and respond to the changes and challenges of the modern recruitment environment. Shifting the focus and thinking out of the box, making sure that talent acquisition team works on every level of the organization is something that we all have got to do if we want to be sure that we stay right on track. And Marta already voiced the numbers that we have, because we have concrete numbers. 115 people hired in 2021, 18 left during the whole year, and we're around 250 in product and tech. You can learn more about our company and us at docplanner.tech. And don't forget to follow us on social media, like, share, subscribe, retweet, whatever. Thanks again for spending your time with us, and keep an eye on other events like this. And yeah, don't forget to give us feedback about this meetup. You will receive the link in the mail, and the link is also available in the chat. So enjoy the rest of the evening. Thanks very much for joining, and good night. Ciao.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks for
Have
the
a lovely
awesome
evening.
host.
Thank you, Mr. Host. Bye
Thanks.
bye.